There are hundreds of thousands of versions of the Bible that exist today, but they did not come out of nowhere. A translation is the process of rendering a text from one language into another language. The Bible was originally written in three different languages: the Old Testament or Hebrew Bible, primarily in Hebrew, though also with a smidge of Aramaic, and the New Testament in Greek. The English Bibles that we read today stand at the end of a long line of translation history that goes across different languages and different cultures. So let's take a look at some of the most important translations in that history. The Septuagint was a Greek translation of the Hebrew scriptures made in the 3rd and 2nd centuries BCE. It was the text of scripture for many early Jews and Christians who, like many of us, were reading their scriptures not in the original languages, but in translation. The Latin Vulgate came from these Greek texts and was translated around 400 CE. It became the standard Bible of the church up until the time that vernacular Bibles, or Bibles written in German and English, began to appear in the late 14th century CE. The first English Bible was the Wycliffe Bible of the 1380s, which was translated from the Latin Vulgate and copied by hand because printing did not yet exist. The church was not a very big fan of people having the Bible in their own language, and this was one of the points of contention in the Protestant Reformation. And from the Protestant Reformation, we get the Geneva Bible, which popularized chapter and verse divisions in the Bible, as well as explanatory notes accompanying the biblical text. The King James Version was commissioned by King James in 1611 as a response to the Geneva Bible. Contrary to popular belief, the King James Version was not a new translation, but it was a revision of previous English translations like the Geneva Bible, but also the Bishop's Bible. Almost 300 years later, the Revised Version updated the language of the King James Version, and it also used Greek and Hebrew manuscripts that were previously unavailable to translators. The Revised Version would then be updated again for the New Revised Standard Version, and even before that, the Revised Standard Version. Finally, the New International Version represents many of the modern, fresh translations that don't have a genealogical relationship to previous English translations, but make a new translation based off of ancient Hebrew and Greek manuscripts. So when we say that the Bible is translations, we mean that the Bible that we read today is the result of centuries of handing down, translating, and revising previous versions of the Bible.